Welcome to our weekly discussion of all things current in California politics. I'm Walt Gray, joined again this week by Rich Ehisen, editor-in-chief of Capital Weekly publication. Rich, good to have you back here. Let's talk quickly about the wildfires in Los Angeles. CAL FIRE apparently had spent a lot of money on fire prevention down there, but more so as we're hearing on rural areas as opposed to the areas that actually burned.
Yeah, I think the big issue here is that, every community applies for all kinds of grants for whether it's flood mitigation or fire mitigation. And, CAL FIRE deemed that a lot of the ones from areas that have burned significantly, like the Palisades in Altadena, they didn't like the numbers. They felt some of them were overinflated. So they put some of them, some money there, but they spent a lot more money in other areas that are rural without the, the population and business base there. And so, of course, now it's looking like a really terrible decision.
We don't have time to get into Mayor Karen Bass of LA, but we will talk about Governor Newsom, who immediately was starting to get a lot of heat on social media and from some of the conservative networks about possibly his role in the wildfires and why they weren't put out. Is a lot of this an opportunity to knock him out of running for president in 2028, and this was just an early shot at that?
It certainly seems logical to think that, and of course Newsom's a good punching bag for that side of the aisle. I mean, if you know anything about politics and about water politics, particularly here in California, our issues go back literally in some cases hundreds of years. There is no one person or one policy that could possibly be responsible for this. There's going to be plenty of blame maybe to go around in some fronts. I think Karen Bass will ultimately have to defend herself quite a bit. But yeah, it would certainly seem like they're going to take every single shot they can at Gavin Newsom, until such time as he either, declares to become the president or, run for president, which at that point it'll double or triple in scope, or he decides against it, and then they'll find somebody new to punch on.
As a state, how does California deal with the withholding of federal dollars? We've already heard the Speaker of the House, Johnson, throw that out there a little bit. California can be as defiant as it wants to be against the incoming administration, but if you have federal dollars withheld for any particular reasons, how does the state operate?
It's going to be really tough because, of course, it's going to be then incumbent on the state to figure out how to backfill some of these, really desperately needed funds. When we're flush, when we had a $70 billion surplus, that's one thing. When you've got the opposite in a deficit, you can't do that. So I really don't know. I think, it is going to force California probably to play nice with the Trump administration. And I will tell you, many of the people that I talk to, both in government and around government, that is a mantra I have heard over and over and over again over the last several months of conversation since the election about, look, they really hope that our leaders here, don't roll over on egregious things, but don't go looking to pick fights.
Okay, Rich Ehisen, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. Have a good rest of your weekend. If you'd like to reach out to Rich, you can do so. Rich.Ehisen at capitalweekly.net.